Hello, people. I think perhaps there may be some misunderstanding over what I mean by the Fae. While I do, in fact, mean the creatures of folklore, and folklore worldwide at that. Creatures told about around dark firelight, with the wind whistling and roaring outside, in the dark, in the night. Things not human that steal children and causes terrible misfortunes. Magical unseen creatures to our forefathers and mothers. But don't get me wrong, it isn't all hokum and Harry Potter. In fact, there are some very real possibilities supported by science. Now just hear me out, and bear in mind that this is an extremely simplified video on the subject, very much for the layperson like myself. For decades and decades, science has tried to come up with a theory for everything, a formula that will fit the natural laws of the cosmic and immense with the laws of the infinitesimal. The big and small work so very different from each other. And so the search for a common law to unite them has been underway and debated for a long time. Quantum mechanics is a world of magic in and of itself. Things worlds apart linked together and affecting each other with an unknown link. Forces of natures whose properties change depend on if you're looking at them or not. Felines of living and non-living nature also being undecided until you look. The magic and mystery is dizzying, but somehow true, and it does not gel with the world we see around us. One current and popular theory is unified string theory or M theory. Now again, as a layman, I can't and won't even try to explain the maths and science behind it. But taking the world of popular and charismatic celebrity scientists, this theory in various forms state that we have, while observing 3 dimensions, live in a universe with 10 or possibly even more dimensions. While the term dimensions is often misused to mean different or parallel realities, I'll get into that later, it actually refers to the directions we see and move in. Dimension 1 is a straight line, the x-axis on a chart or graph. Add another and you have up and down with a y-axis. Then we get a little bit of depth back and forth to pace and ponder the mysteries of the universe on the z-axis. And that's us. Well over 100 years ago, this was explained to us by a quirky little novel called Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions by Edwin A. Abbott. In it, we are in the second dimension with a square. He has friends who are circles and triangles, etc. However, he can only see them as basic lines, tall and short. When a visitor from the third dimension comes to visit, he is seen as a circle, or basically to our protagonist square, as a line, because only a cross-section of him is in Flatland at any given time. But he can be tall or short, as different cross-sections are seen through Flatland. His ability to seem to grow and shrink amazes our little square, but only because, again, as a sphere, if only the end is seen, he'll be short, and if the middle is the cross-section, of course, he'll be much larger, which seems well beyond the understanding of our poor little square. But when the square is pulled into the third dimension the sphere lives in, he sees what he actually is. And he sees his own world for the first time in cross-section, and his fellow Flatlanders as shapes such as circles, triangles, squares, and whatever, that he didn't discern before. Okay, so where do we go after the third dimension? Well, then we have the fourth, which is believed to be time. We all travel it, but only one way. But beings designed, evolved, or created to experience the fourth dimension may in fact be able to move forward or backward at will. Many of the fairy stories and folk tales speak of the change of time when in fairyland. Rip Van Winkle, or someone caught dancing in fairy rings, and many more examples. Could this be how people disappear without a trace? And no scent for the dogs to find. Not yanked into the air and out of space, but out of time, into the past or future. That's an interesting prospect to ponder. Well, now we've reached the level of what we understand with our senses. We now reach dimension 5. 5 is believed to be the dimension where other realms come into play. According to superstring theory, in the 5th dimension, we would see a world slightly different from our own. That would give us means of measuring the similarities and differences between our Earth, our world, and other possible ones. This is the place where small decisions make changes. Terry Pratchett's Trousers of Time, the big land of what-ifs we always worry too much over, or long for, or fear to no avail. This is not the fairyland you are looking for, but you might find your missing socks. This is the torturous place or space that Schrödinger placed his poor cat in, alive and dead, in ours alive, I hope, in another dead. When we go one more dimension, we are in the 6th. In this one, we can see many different futures that differ wildly. The general start is the same, similar conditions. The best part is we could move between them. Sliders. Or Spock with a goatee and mustache. Who knows? Maybe you can even run into John Teeter. Now, when we get to dimensions 7 and 8 is when the real fun begins. This may be the fairyland we're looking for. Wild yokai here and there. Maybe even a large number of Sasquatch tribes scattered throughout the many worlds. Fairy queens and wild hunts. Vampires of every variety. Any possible thing you could imagine could exist in these worlds. Maybe some have nothing at all. The Big Bang may be very different here. This is the wider scope of the what-maybes. Maybe Atuin cruises space with the Discworld upon his back. Or another turtle, Maturin, watches out for murderous clowns. We could never know. As we travel through 9 and 10, even more insane things become possible, viewable, and travelable. So the theory goes. There has been evidence that even through our limited dimensional senses, we can see evidence of other worlds. A cold spot that can't be explained far off in our universe is believed to possibly be a bruise from our universe bumping into another. While this has not been proven, the fact that scientists are taking it seriously shows the multiverse is a very strange place. I can easily imagine that to creatures able to traverse this vast expanse of possible worlds and timelines, we are merely gnats or amoebas, or maybe even not tardigrades. Lab mice if we are lucky, I would say, except in light of the 411 phenomena. Not so lucky. Perhaps picked up and taken away, tested, tortured, and put back, alive or dead, in a place already searched, or so far away it would be impossible to get there on foot. Why should they care? We, as humans, have a terrible habit of ignoring the parts of our lives and experiences that don't make sense. We pretend they never happen. Unknown and misunderstood science has always been magic to us. But we don't believe in magic anymore. And if things don't fit neatly into the well-ingrained theories out there, they are labeled as pseudoscience and shunned like the Black Plague, lest your career die from it, which it would and often has happened. But, as Abney Park said, link to the song in the description, all the myths are true. We just need to know how and why. So tell me, dear listeners, do you think this is a possible explanation to these disappearances, or do you find it doesn't hold water? I have a bad habit of skipping things and making mental leaps when I explain things, so I hope this made some sort of sense. There are some links to articles that help me get my thoughts together on this below. I wonder what David Paulides would make of this theory. These videos are very popular on my channel, and I will try and do more of them. They're more labor-intensive than my regular story time, but are a very fun diversion. For me, if not anyone else. I just have to sit like this and put my thoughts and research into words, which I'm not the best at, but I try. This is going to be a bit of a short video, but I've had a few people comment on my insanity in putting forth that the Fae theory, which was not my own invention, again, could possibly be an explanation. But, I think, as Shakespeare said, there are more things in heaven and earth. I plan to do more 411 stories from folklore that lines up with them, hopefully starting with North America, and then moving to elsewhere in the world that, lines up with the disappearances. If you have any, please, any stories, any folklore, please email them to me. I would be very interested and be very glad to put them forth in a video. I don't know when it will be out, my next 411 video, but 2020's just started. Thank you so kindly for your attention during this video. I appreciate you listening. And remember, don't be first, don't be last, and be safe out there. Special thanks to my Patreons, Herman Case, Darren and Jennifer, Laura, Mutant Artificial Intelligence, Tabby Cat, and of course, Charlotte Emerson. If you like this, please hit the little button to let me know. If you didn't, hit the little button to let me know. Leave a comment. I'm always glad to talk with you, my darlings. I'm open to suggestions and criticisms, critiques. If you have not subscribed, please do so and ring the little bell so you know when to come up and see me. And I will talk to you next time, my darlings. Farewell.